The book is rightly titled No Half Measures because Jennifer looks at her happiness as well in absolute full measures. Whilst we were in the process of this podcast discussion and the variety of talks that we did over months, there wasn't a single dull moment. Uh, we were laughing aloud, and I emphasize aloud, about the choices,
Yes.
incidents,
Oh gosh. Yes.
responses,
Yeah.
and most importantly, how Jennifer dealt with life. If I were to sit down and recollect this journey of these 5 episodes, I will always begin to define Jennifer with this loud, gregarious laughter. And exactly that is the first phrase of who is Jennifer. Uh, and I'm amazed at how she finds joy in everything in life. You know, when she lets out a loud guffaw, I look beyond those lines,
Really.
those laugh lines, and those deep, searching eyes. And I know the many barriers that she crossed to, to smile. And, you know, truly, Jennifer has proven to deal with life. Happiness does not have to be chased. It does not have to be chased. It has to be chosen. And that's what I see Jennifer as. So, on that note, on that emotional, long paused note, let's segue, Jennifer, into our final episode of this very first series for the book No Half Measures. By the way, trending #1 on Amazon, 21st of April as we speak. So on that note, Jennifer, I was absolutely shocked. Yes, that's the right word. When I heard that for over 15 years, Jennifer, you did a lot of work in birding and as a naturalist, only for helping people without charging them a pie. So tell me, please, did you do it for the sheer love of birding, or for your happiness, or both?
Oh, Anshu, quality of life measurement is happiness, which may fluctuate around a characteristic baseline. You know, if I'm temperamentally cheerful, I can have bad days, but I'll always gravitate back towards this happy medium. I'm driven by the pleasure of doing. If that benefits someone, I get joy out of it. And never have a sad day in my life. Yeah. I don't measure my happiness day to day. Am I happy or not? You know, I ask myself instead, am I successful at what I'm doing? Am I as good as I can be at this? And if not, please try to improve. So I have to learn something every day, something new which I didn't know yesterday. So I found that I'm often asked, how do you keep yourself so happy? As if happiness was a thing that you found under a rock, you dig a little hole in the earth, or you wear some band, some ring or something in your ear, or wear a particular color, or follow somebody, or, you know, I mean, it's relegating happiness to a search. you're setting yourself up for disaster. And for me, you have the power to manufacture meaning in your life. So take decisions, no? In your life to create that meaning. In short, I'm looking at my happy moment.
Indeed, yes. And let me tell you, it has a rubbing effect on
Oh.
people around you, and I mean it, okay? And Jennifer, you said you never wore your admiral husband's stripes, right? On your shoulder.
Yeah, of course.
You said that you found your joy cycling, trekking, and exploring. So can you tell us how in the 80s
Yes, yes.
this young lady wearing a hat and those shorts and riding a bicycle actually made it in that world of pearls and chiffons?
I remember this particular incident. It was party time in Dehradun. The new commanding officers were coming in and the old were leaving, and there were farewells and welcome parties held every day. And in those days, in the 80s, I used to cycle to Timli and Lachiwala, sometimes with my daughter's classmates from Welham Girls. And this somehow was an unorthodox activity for an officer's wife to do. So,
You insist
ah,
on
God,
unorthodox.
yes, indeed. So when I was invited to speak at a ladies' morning so that they could meet me, I graciously accepted the offer and said I'd come there on a bicycle. She laughed and thought it was a joke. I mean, do that, she said, with a big grin on her face. And so I did.
You did?
Only the security man wouldn't let me in, the guard at the gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had orders to expect a very senior officer's wife who was the chief guest.
In chiffons? In
What?
chiffons?
God knows, God knows. So I told him I was that very exalted person. But you, you can't be, he said. He looked at me, my cycle, my short pants, my t-shirt, the tousled hair, the sweaty face and everything, and running shoes and socks. You can't be, he said sorrowfully, you can't be. And, my hostess, she heard some commotion at the gate and came out and she said, Jennifer, is, is that you? What happened? I said, nothing. Then why are you like this? Like what? I mean, I asked, being deliberately obtuse. Why aren't you dressed? But I am. Did you expect me to cycle in a sari? She had no answer to that and regretfully led me into her precious drawing room with chiffon and pearls ladies whose faces fell when they saw me. I was this irreverent woman and enjoyed shocking people. But I was an avid fan of the outdoors. Yeah, so I did what I did.
So here you were enjoying the vastness and the beauty of the outdoors, Jennifer, all the time, yes, and it really connected well with you, and you connected well with it. So I'm sure there were different kind of connections that you build with nature. So can you please tell all of us as to how did nature help you heal at times and perhaps look at happiness all over again?
Oh, I'm sure. It's a little sad, but I'll, I'll tell you, I'll share that with you. I had just returned from Delhi with, you know, with my kids after the funeral of my husband who died in service. And the Navy had taken care of everything for which, I was eternally grateful. And when I came back to Dehradun, it was my practice to walk every day at, for about 10 kilometers in the morning on a challenging route. So I got dressed and as usual set out for my walk at about 5 p.m. Now, somewhere along the way, there was a butterfly that caught my attention. I stayed with it for a long time, noticing its colors, its patterns, identifying its host plant, and watching it, how it unraveled its proboscis, and how its abdomen curved downwards, to release an egg. It had me in its thrall. And as I resumed my walk, I realized that my husband had just died. And I had spent the last 10 minutes looking at a butterfly.
I hear you. I really truly hear you. But you always take things with a pinch of salt, right? And that comes from two things as I've understood. One, of course, is ignoring, and the second is that sharp focus on what your goal is. So, whether it is about entering a bird sanctuary, as we've already talked about in our earlier episodes, or about getting a visa, right? So, what is this mindset of happiness all about, Jennifer?
That visa story is
Yes.
really funny.
Yes, please.
I remember it so well. I mean, things were a lot simpler some 25 years ago. All it required was stamina and patience and perhaps, a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I remember that I wanted to visit my daughter in Colorado. It was the year 2001. And so I left home about 4 o'clock in the morning to queue up outside the US Embassy. By 8 a.m., they began the slow process of letting us in, And finally, we were inside. At the head of the line, facing the queue, was a man with forms,
Okay.
which he handed out to be filled. So when I received one, I duly filled it, and in the space for profession, I put naturalist. When my turn came, he hardly glanced at me and said, "Ah, so you're a naturalist. That means you get to roam around naked." I said, "Yes," without batting an eyelid. "Yes, I do that too." And we both laughed, and everybody looked at us. They didn't laugh. They were looking at us. I mean, without a beat, I said, "Yes, I do that too. I mean, what else? I'm not going to argue with you." And, anyway, he just pointed in the direction of the cashier, and he said, "Go pay your fees." And I hesitated because I thought, "What? This can't be that simple." And he said, yes, go. It's done. I got my visa with a joke.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Jennifer, when I look at you, I'm often reminded of that one line that's always stayed with me, Jennifer, and it said, this is what Helen Keller said. It said, keep your face to the sunshine, and you cannot see a shadow. And when I look at you, this is that one line that constantly resonates with me. So, tell us, Jennifer, to summarize this series of episodes and this one, what is your big lesson about life, happiness, of course, and the Himalayas?
Oh, Anshu, I think I've learned to be a survivor. I mean, in the Himalaya, I learned to endure harsh climates and formidable challenges. Life presents so many obstacles, isn't it? And so perhaps the key is resilience, finding strength to persevere and adapt despite adversity. Without being facetious, can I say that one lives when one almost dies? And as we've spoken before, the vastness of nature reminds us of our place in nature. It's a humbling experience, Anshu, to stand in the shadow of the Himalaya, to appreciate life's wonders, to find a kind of inner peace. And remember, at the outset of the series, we spoke about stillness and interconnectedness. So I think these moments of stillness and mindfulness led to greater happiness and fulfillment. And that is where I developed this sense of belonging, by recognizing our interconnectedness with all living beings, because then we foster empathy, compassion, and a sense of belonging. So the Himalayas is a high energy environment and with ever changing landscapes, and that reminds us of life's impermanence. So over the years I've learned that it's necessary for me to be in the present moment and to cherish each experience. And I've embraced my life's journey with courage, humility, and always with a sense of wonder.
This will go down in history, I'm telling you that.
Oh.
Yes. So, yes, like Jennifer just said, one lives when one almost dies. and my only desire is that you live fully, Jennifer, with that pinch of salt, with that amazing amount of happiness, and have a good life.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I wish I was 20 and in love with life and still full of beans. Onward, old legs. There are the long, pale dunes. On the other side, the roses are blooming and finding their labor. No adversity to the spirit. Upward, old legs. There are the roses, and there is the sea shining like a song, like a body I want to touch. Though I'm not 20 and won't be again, but 70 and still in love with life.
Wow.
And still full of beans.
So now, can you see? What's that in the center of that web? Can you see the web? Look how large it is. Look at the shape of it. It's circular. And these are the guy lines. Like you have guy lines for a tent. The spider has made those guy lines to fix the orb. Look at it, how beautifully it's stretched across in a perfect circle. And it's resilient. Look at it. Can you see the spider? The spider is sitting right in the center. Do you think it's a male or a female. It's a female, you know, it's a female. She's the one who's hunting. It's not a male. If there is a male, you'll have to look for him at the edges of the orb. He's sitting there quietly and he's very scared of the female because she might mistake him for an insect and eat him up. So he's careful not to let the vibrations that he might make disturb her, because she will be so swift and come down and eat him up or wrap him in silk. So is the spider an insect? You don't know? Count the legs. Count the legs. Okay. 2, 4, 6. Oh, there are 2 more. 8 legs. And an insect? How many legs does an insect have? 6. Yes, 6. So that's the difference. You won't see a spider with 6 legs, and you won't see an insect with 8. Now, have a look at that spider. That's the trap. What an elaborate trap it's set to catch its food. What is its food? The insects that might just fly in. Now the spider is sitting in the middle. It's sitting in ambush, waiting for its prey to fall into its trap. And when it does so, the spider rushes to its prey and wraps it in silk and leaves it there. The insect is struggling and struggling, but the spider is so quick, so you'll have many of these little wrapped up insects for the spider to feed on. It's like a larder, you know, and it'll feed on in its time. And can you see where the silk is coming out from? Yes, it's called the spinnerets. And do you know how strong the silk is? The silk is so strong, it's as strong as steel. Yes, that's all about the spider. It's a wonderful creature.